With only 6 IndyCar races to go, 3 drivers are separated by only 7 points in the battle for the PPG Cup. Al Unser is on top, but says the strategy doesn't change.
Just because you're in a position that I'm in now doesn't mean that you can back off or that you can relax. The same pressure, the same everything is on. You have to, try to finish the races and, of course, try to win them. And hopefully you can then go to the end.
For the first time in a year, Mario Andretti isn't in the points lead. He's won 3 times this year, but missed a race and is now second. For Mario, strategy remains the same, simply to win races.
Right up to now, we were going for the wins, and that's exactly what we're going to keep on doing. I think strategy can come into play the last couple of races, perhaps, but right now, it's just we go for the wins.
Emerson Fittipaldi is only 7 points behind in his first full year of IndyCar racing. The man in the distinctive Spider-Man helmet won the Michigan 500 and is the most consistent road course finisher, no worse than 8th. Is he going for the national championship?
Oh, for sure, no doubt about it.
ESPN's cameras are trained on the 15-turn, 2.4-mile road course at Mid-Ohio for the Escort Radar Warning 200, stop number 10 on the 1985 PPG IndyCar World Series. ESPN, now entering its 7th season as your #1 auto racing network, presents Auto Racing 85. We welcome you to the farm country in central Ohio, near Lexington, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and the Escort Radar Warning 204 IndyCars. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins. Joining me in the booth for today's race, IndyCar driver Derek Daly. As we head into the final 1/3 of the IndyCar season, we have 3 drivers that are very much in contention for the national championship.
Indeed, I think 2 of these, Unser Sr. and Fittipaldi, are there through sheer consistency over the season. Mario is there with speed, sheer speed. And I think if I was to pick somebody to be strong from here on in, it would be Mario. He's almost recovered from his injuries at Michigan, and I think, although it may hamper him slightly here, he will be very strong from here on in.
Bobby Rahal will be on the pole position for today's race. He out-qualified everybody else by about 1.5 miles an hour, and 22 of the starters here today broke the previous track record.
Some of this is due in part to the resurfacing here at Mid-Ohio. The rest of it, of course, is due to car development. These engineers get more speed out of the tires and the cars every year, hence such a huge jump. An unusual jump, faster than most people had expected Rahal to go here.
Let's go down to the pit area and introduce the gentleman who will be covering the activity down there for us today. Here is Gary Lee.
Thank you, Bob. Derek, good afternoon. So far this championship season, we've had 2 first-time winners, Emerson Fittipaldi at the Michigan 500 and Jacques Villeneuve at Elkhart Lake. If there is to be another first-time winner this season, it could likely be the driver of the Coors Light Silver Bullet number 7, Jeff Brabham. Jeff has finished second 3 times during his IndyCar career. He's always fast in qualifying, very competitive, but usually encounters mechanical woes. So if Lady Luck ever smiles on the second-generation driver, look for Jeff in victory lane, if not today, yet this season. Another driver with road racing experience to watch is the winner from Elkhart Lake. That is Jacques Villeneuve. He's starting back in row 3. Now, the Canadian Tire team has elected to bypass the last 2 500s to spend more time in testing. And obviously, it's paying off. So, Bob and Derek, I envy you 2 guys up there in the booth because you're going to have a great race to watch this afternoon.
Gary, it's a sunny day, and we have a record crowd. Derek, I'm anticipating a great race.
Indeed, could be crucial for the championship. Very consistent men at the front, but also Andretti, the man who gains all his points with sheer speed. A very, very interesting race in the upcoming.
And the Escort Radar Warning 200 is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks and on the world's roads, depend on STP, your car care company. And by Pennzoil Motor Oil, quality protection. Ask for it. We'll be back to take a look at the course and the starting lineup for today's 200-mile IndyCar race in just a moment. It is just a beautiful day here with sunshiny skies and temperature hovering around 80 degrees. A little bit of a wind, but nothing of any significance. And there is very little chance of rain this afternoon during the course of this event. So the cars are now beginning to move away from the starting grid, and we now look at the 28 starters that will comprise the lineup for today's Escort Radar Warning 200. On the pole position in car number 3, he hails from Dublin, Ohio. It's the Budweiser True Sports March, Bobby Rahal, qualifying at 114.791. Outside row 1, Danny Sullivan, car number 4 from Louisville, Kentucky, the Miller American March. In the second row, car number 7, Jeff Brabham from San Clemente, California, the Coors Silverlight Bullet, and Mario Andretti in car number 1, the Beatrice Lola. In row number 3, car 6, Roberto Moreno from Brazil in the Valvoline Hawk March. Outside row 3, Jacques Villeneuve in the Canadian Tire March, car 76. The fourth row, Al Unser Jr. from Albuquerque, New Mexico in the Domino's Pizza Hot One. Outside row 4, Al Unser Sr. from Albuquerque, New Mexico in the Pennzoil Z7 March. The fifth row, Bill Whittington from Fort Lauderdale, Florida in the RC Aero Racing Lola car 12, and Enrique Mancilla from Buenos Aires driving the Living Well Spa Aerobics Lola car 71. Then Michael Andretti in car 99 in row number 6. Outside his teammate Kevin Kogan from Redondo Beach, California, car number 18. In the seventh row will be Emerson Fittipaldi in the 711 STP March, car number 40, and Roberto Guerrero in the True Value Master Mechanic March, car number 9. In the 8th row will be Bruno Giacomelli in car number 20 and Raul Boisel in number 22. The 9th row, Jose Lee Garza in 55 and Ed Pim in 98. The 10th row, car 8, Ludwig Heimrath Jr. and Howdy Holmes in 33. The 11th row will consist of Johnny Rutherford in car number 21 and Rupert Keegan in his first IndyCar race, car number 59. Then in the 12th row, it'll be Dennis Firestone in number 36 and Tom Sneva in number 2. The 13th row, Randy Lanier in 57 and Steve Chassie in 56. And in the final row, number 14, Herm Johnson driving car number 24 and Dale Coyne in car number 19. The last 4 starters were promoters' options. Tom Sneva was actually the last to make the race. And we might point out that Ari Lyondike qualified fast enough to make the field in car 61, but crashed during practice, and they could not prepare the car for the race today. Well, let's take a look at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. The cars are right now on the front straightaway. You can see they have just passed under the starter stand. After they go down this front straightaway, they head into a right-hand corner, or left-hand corner rather, corner number 1. They are now proceeding through corner number 2, which is a right-hander, and then from there into corner number 3. And this is the area of the racetrack that provides the first element of danger, and Derek, it's called the keyhole.
That's right, quite a difficult corner here. One interesting thing we see from our early shots is all these dark patches that appeared on the racetrack. This is all this new resurfacing that has gone on here at Mid-Ohio and has made this track record so much faster now.
They're in the backstretch right now, and this is the fastest part of the racetrack. How fast will they be going at the end before they back off for the corner, Derek?
They touch on between 185 and 190, depending on whether it's a qualifying one or a race run, but averaging about 185 in 5th gear.
There actually is corner number 5 in the middle of the backstretch, but it's a sweeping right-hander, and they really don't have to worry about backing off. Then they head into turns 6, 7, 8, and 9. Actually, turn number 10 also. It's a series of S's that speeds have to be reduced quite significantly.
Indeed, mostly second gear. Very, very difficult stuff. Car must be perfectly balanced to turn in and get the power on as fast as you can. Very difficult place to pass, so I don't really think that we're going to see much passing here. Most of the passing will be done at the end of the straightaway.
They go under this bridge here. Actually, we're in a short straightaway here. Then into corner number 12, a right-hander. Corner number 13 is a left. And from that point, they head into the final, at least, serious corner. That's number 14, and that's the area of the racetrack they're approaching right now. It's called the Carousel.
That's right. Again, you see this black patch of track. This is one of the very bumpy areas from last year that's been removed.
Very favorable comments from the drivers. They all like it now. They say it was a little bit slippy to start with, but now after practice, a lot of rubber has gone down, and it's ready to race now.
Cars right now heading into that carousel, which is the real sharp right-hander. After that, they proceed through corner number 15 back onto the front straightaway. Now, you can also see the pit entrance, which is to the left of the racetrack itself. So they come down and complete lap number 1, and the pace car appeared to be on the track. Actually, they get the green flag to start this race on the backstretch, do they not, Derek? At least that has been the case in previous years.
That's right. I do believe that's right. The reason for this is because so many cars would arrive at great speed into this turn, this first left-hand corner. So they do feel, by giving the green flag on the backstretch, it's a much safer situation for these drivers to be put in. So what they're doing now is the final warm-up, the final little jigging with the tires, get everything warmed up, and we're going to see a flat-out run to turn 9 coming up in just a couple of seconds here.
They are proceeding right now out of corner number 4 and are approaching the backstretch, and this is the area that they will receive the green flag. 84 laps to complete this 200-mile event here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It's a 2.4-mile circuit, and you can see the acceleration beginning. The green flag has fallen, and we are underway. The Escort Radar Warning 200 is on, and Bobby Rahal has jumped out into the lead, but look at the car on the outside. I believe that's Jacques Villeneuve who's trying to move up quickly, but Bobby Rahal has grabbed the lead here with Danny Sullivan running in second position and Jeff Brabham in third. A lot of traffic as the cars proceed through corner number 6. They go under the bridge for the first time, the Nissan Bridge. This is the area of the racetrack that is referred to as the S's. The traffic is getting pretty much strung out right now. Dennis Firestone has gone off course for the moment, but gets back on and joins the rest of the race. Dennis Firestone had problems here in qualifying yesterday. The car got off of the course, and he banged up the rear end of it a little bit, but they were able to make repairs. Now out of corner number 15, onto the main straightaway, and this will complete lap number 1. Bobby Rahal, followed by Danny Sullivan, then Jeff Brabham, Mario Andretti, and Jacques Villeneuve. So it was a good start for Jacques Villeneuve, who's already up into the top 5.
Indeed, very good clean start. Mario is also lying in a nice, comfortable 4th position here. We don't see Rahal actually making much of a break at the moment. It is very early in the race, but he was so much faster than everybody else in practice, we almost expect him to break away. But Sullivan is hanging on at the moment and is about to make a good race out of it.
Well, this is called Bobby Rahal's home track. He lives not too far from here, from Dublin, Ohio. The owner of his race car, Jim Truman, also owns this racetrack. So this is where they come to practice and do their testing. And naturally, Bobby would be more familiar with this track than any others. That's one of the reasons why he sat on the pole for the race here this afternoon. But it appears that he may have that car hooked up now. He had some very serious difficulties in the early going this season. But in the last 3 or 4 races, he's come on to finish well and appears to have things under control now.
Sullivan is very much in control also. He is hounding Rahal's every move here. We see on the braking particularly, Sullivan can close up. So I think Rahal is going to have his hands full with Sullivan as this race progresses.
Danny Sullivan was the second fastest qualifier, but about a mile and a half an hour slower than Bobby Rahal. Rahal at 114.791 and Danny Sullivan at 113.141. Let's go to the pit area and Gary Lee.
Well, you guys were intimating that perhaps Bobby Rahal, because of that speed advantage over the weekend, might tend to stretch it out. So I just talked to Jim Truman, who owns not only the race car but also the racetrack, and I said, will they run a conservative pace knowing that you've got that large margin in speed? He said, no. Bobby will run as hard as he can. So look for Bobby to try to stretch it out between first and second.
Well, right now the separation is about 4 or 5 car lengths. Bobby Rahal leading Danny Sullivan here in the early going of this 84-lap race. Here they are approaching corner number 7 on the racetrack. And Rahal still with the advantage, but as Derek indicated, during braking, Danny's able to gather right up on the rear wing of Bobby Rahal.
We see Rahal again with these titanium sparks flying out from underneath the front of his chassis. Again, he's running the car very low to the ground. We saw several races ago at Elkhart Lake, almost fireworks from underneath Rahal's car. Well, again, in the bumpy section under braking, he has these sparks flying from his car. I don't think it's going to cause a handling problem here because it isn't very much. But again, Rahal, titanium sparks flying from underneath the front of his chassis.
Jeff Brabham is still running in third position. There is Jeff, and Jeff has a little bit of an advantage on the fourth place runner right now, who is Mario Andretti. Here comes Andretti through corner number 1. Car number 30, driven by Al Unser Jr., is shown in sixth position right now. There is Jacques Villeneuve, and there is Al Unser Jr. right behind Jacques Villeneuve, and behind Al Unser Jr. is Roberto Moreno here in car number 6. He had an excellent qualifying performance this weekend, I should say, starting in 5th place.
Moreno here working very hard to try and secure a drive for himself for next year. He had hoped to move to Formula 1, but his IndyCar exploits seem to be gaining. He's gaining very much respect with Gallus, and I think he would like to come and do the full series for next year instead of just a couple of road races that he's fitted in this year.
And there is Jacques Villeneuve in the Canadian Tire car. Right behind him is Al Unser Jr., who has 2 wins this year on the PPG IndyCar World Series and would like to find another one here this afternoon. Dale Coyne has dropped out of the race. The car is up against one of the guardrails. It doesn't appear to have hit anything, but nevertheless, Dale Coyne, who is 31 years of age, has stepped out of that car and is through for the afternoon. There is Al Unser Sr., who right now is being shown in 7th position. Al Unser Sr. surprisingly in the points lead here in the final stages, actually, of the PPG IndyCar World Series, and there is his son, Al Unser Jr.
Al Jr., of course, is driving with his fractured right ankle. He suffered quite a serious fracture while leading at Elkhart Lake several weeks ago. And although many people thought he may not be able to make the race, he is heavily strapped. He does have 2 screws holding his ankle together, and he is in some pain. So we look to Al to be very consistent over the first 3 quarters of the race rather than trying to go too fast.
Well, Bobby Rahal is the leader, and Danny Sullivan is running in 2nd position. You're watching the Escort Radar Warning 200 IndyCar race from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and we'll be right back. Bob Jenkins, Derek Daly, and Gary Lee back at Mid-Ohio, where 5 of 84 laps have been completed in this 200-mile event, and Bobby Rahal is the leader, followed by Danny Sullivan and Jeff Brabham running in 3rd position. Rahal looking for his first victory of 1985. He has finished 4th the last 2 races at Elkhart Lake and at Pocono, and he had a 6th-place finish before that, so Bobby Rahal is hopeful that this weekend is his weekend.
This is almost a copy of last season when Rahal was very much the man to beat, but could never finish the races. And then towards the end of the year, he strung it all together and won some races. This may be the start of his winning streak this year, because for sure he is fast enough, the team is good enough, and I think it's only a matter of time until he stands in victory lane.
As a matter of fact, I believe that Bobby had the best performance of any other driver in the last half of the season last year after Elkhart Lake. So things are beginning to look brighter for him this year also. Bobby Rahal from Dublin, Ohio, leading here with about, well, you can see the interval between himself and 2nd place Danny Sullivan. It's about 10 to 15 car lengths as Sullivan now begins to drop back just a little bit. Rahal proceeding out of the backstretch and into the S's once again. Very careful at this point, although as he came out of that turn, the back end around just a little bit, indicating that he stepped on the accelerator and the turbocharger kicked in. Michael Andretti is running in 10th position right now at car number 99, and of course Michael was one of those drivers involved in that helicopter crash that preceded the Pocono 500. He and his teammate Kevin Kogan, and miraculously neither of the drivers was injured, and both were able to proceed to the racetrack and step in their cars and compete in the 500-miler. But Michael Andretti in car number 99 running 10th here at Mid-Ohio.
We see Roberto Guerrero here running in 11th place. Roberto didn't have a very good qualifying, which frustrates him greatly because he knows he has the talent. He's done it many times before. But for some reason here, they just missed some little setup on the car, which puts him starting too far back. Hence, in a position like this, after 10 or 15 laps, he's running midfield and really gives the driver so much more work to do.
Michael Andretti running right ahead of Guerrero. Guerrero now with the rear tires off the race course just momentarily. That kicks up some dust on the racetrack and may create some problems to the drivers back of him.
That's right. On a long straight like this, he can get away with it. But sometimes Roberto, if he does something like that, can actually pick up dirt on his own tires, which leaves him in a very slick position to arrive at the next corner.
It's a good race here for 10th position, with Michael Andretti leading Roberto Guerrero as they go under the Nissan bridge once again. Well, we had an opportunity to talk with Michael Andretti and get his observations on that helicopter crash.
Mike, we talked to Kevin a little bit about this, and we'd like to ask you also. Was it difficult to go through something like you went through before Pocono and then step into a race car and go over 200 miles an hour and concentrate on winning a 500-mile race?
Yeah, it really was. You know, my knees were chattering before the start of that race still from the incident in the morning. But, you know, during the warm-up, you know, the first few laps, all I did was concentrate on just keeping my mind on the race, and there's just nothing you can do about the past, and just, you know, go out and do the job, and it seemed to work.
Was that as scared as you've ever been in a race car?
Worse than I've ever been in a race car. Race car, you always seem like you might have a little control of it. I mean, when you're up 50 feet in the air, swirling around in a helicopter, you just, you know, you feel like this is the end.
And during the race at Pocono, you had a wheel come off. Did you think that maybe that wasn't your day?
Definitely. I thought, you know, what next? And I was just waiting for that third thing to happen, and it finally did when I ran into debris of ponchos. So it was just one of those days. It was unlucky in some ways, but I think in the end it was lucky that I was still walking.
Well, Michael Andretti survived all of those woes during the running of the Pocono 500 and before, and came home in 13th position. So it was an outstanding job of concentrating on driving a race car after surviving a helicopter crash. There's Bobby Rahal moving through the keyhole, corner number 4, and he's beginning to approach the back markers now and begin to lap slower traffic. He's pulled out the advantage over Danny Sullivan now to a little over 3 seconds. Rahal is beginning to move away, and there is the first car that he will be passing when the lapping begins, and that would be the number 24 of Herm Johnson. As you can see, Herb Johnson moves over and allows Bobby Rahal to pass with no problem. The indication was last lap that Rahal was running at a pace of about 1 minute and 18 seconds, which would be around 110 miles an hour, about 4 miles an hour off his qualifying pace, but still, he's running very well out there under race conditions.
At the moment, he still has probably 30 gallons of fuel on board. And this sheer weight that he's carrying is what slows him down.
During this 200-mile event, we expect the cars to make at least 2 pit stops. And there you can see the interval between first and second. There is second place Danny Sullivan. And then also was the third place car of Jeff Brabham. They continue to run in that order. Running in fourth place is still Mario Andretti. Fifth is Jacques Villeneuve. Sixth is Al Unser Jr. In seventh position now is the number 6 of Roberto Moreno. Following that would be the number 5 of Al Unser Sr. and then Phil Whittington shown in 9th position, and in 10th spot would be Michael Andretti.
For the Emerson Fittipaldi fans in the 7-11 march, he is running 13th at the moment. Again, another driver who started well down on the grid and has a lot of work to do before he can run near the front.
There you can see the interval between first and second, and also the interval between first, second, and third position. Jeff Brabham, car number 7. There are a lot of people here this weekend that think this may be Jeff's weekend. We had conversation with him, of course, during the weekend, and he's very non-committal. He doesn't want to jinx himself. When asked if he thought this was his weekend, he says, I simply don't want to think about it. I want to concentrate on what I'm doing and make sure that I do finish the race.
The good thing in Jeff's favor is Rick Gallas has already signed him for the next 2 years. The driver now knows that Rick Gallas has the confidence in him, and it lets the driver relax and bring out his best. And I think he has developed as a driver with Gallas. Both have developed each other. And I think here is the proof with a very, very competitive situation. So Jeff could be a dark horse here.
Well, Dale Coyne has dropped out of this event, and he is down in the pit area with Gary Lee.
Well, right you are, Bob. Dale, the first to take that long walk from the pit area back to the garage area. You didn't even stay out long enough to work up a sweat.
No, unfortunately. We had a small engine problem yesterday. We got that fixed. The car was working better than it has all week. And going into the back straight, the stock block makes a lot of torque. And laid it down in third gear, and it just shattered the gearbox. It just really sounds bad back there.
I know before the weekend began, you were very, very optimistic that this track might bring out the best in the stock block.
Yes, it is. You know, Bobby Rahal held the track record here with the stock block 2 years ago, and that record stood last year. And we were optimistic about it. It's unfortunate that that's what happens in the first lap.
So he can still smile even though he's the first one out.
Dale Coyne, one of two drivers. Oh, and a shredded tire for Al Unser Sr. The left rear tire is shredded onto that car. He's trying to make it to the pit area, but that must be very difficult to steer that car, Derek.
And the biggest problem he has now, he's got to get back as fast as he can, but he can't go too fast if he breaks the car. And here is the championship leader now with the dilemma. How fast can he go to save the car? And how slow can he go to save the car? Now, I think he's finished. He's already broken the suspension.
Now the car getting off of the racetrack, and you can see now that he's having much difficulty making it around. He's got a long way to go. He's only in the S's, turn number 11, coming out of turn number 11. He's quite a distance from the pit area, although he's still moving at a relatively fast pace, and he may be able to make it around to the pit.
I can only think that he doesn't know how much damage there is done. He is trying to get it back. You can see how the front wheel waves in the air because that left rear is broken, actually broken almost off the car.
Now he finally makes it into the pit area. Well, let's go down to Gary Lee, who is in that area. Let's see what happens to Al Unser Sr.
Well, Bob, we're standing right here next to Roger Penske. He has the signboard out to stop Al Unser. Al Unser comes in, and they go to work on that right front. We're trying to survey the damage. The crew is waving him off. There will be no change and no chance for him to get back out. He hits the kill switch, and that will be the day for Al Unser Sr.
What a tough break for the points leader. Al Unser had done so well this year on all types of courses. As a matter of fact, Al Unser Sr.'s worst finish this year, he did not compete at Milwaukee because Rick Mears drove the car, but his worst finish this year had been a 7th place. That was at Elkhart Lake not too long ago, and that's one of the reasons why Al Unser Sr. is in the points lead. Very consistent finishes this year, but it's going to be a very poor finish this year, this race I should say, for Al Unser Sr. We'll be back with more of the Escort Radar Warning 200. We are back at Mid-Ohio, and Ludwig Heimrath Jr. has pulled off the course. I'm not sure whether he made contact or not. I don't believe so, but Heimrath is off the track, and Howdy Holmes also got the right side of the car, the right side wheels off the course, but managed to keep going. Ludwig Heimrath Jr. in only his second IndyCar race of his career.
It looked to us as if Heimrath and Howdy, in fact, touched. It looked as if they both got involved trying to get the same piece of road coming off onto this front stretch. Howdy has continued, but he did drop several places.
We'll see if Howdy did any damage to that car and will be coming in for a stop next time around. But Ludwig Heimrath Jr.'s afternoon is also over. Al Unser Sr. is out of the race, Dale Coyne out of the race, but Bobby Rahal is the leader with about now a 7.5-second lead over Danny Sullivan and with about an 8.5-second lead over Jeff Brabham. Rahal looking strong here. He is beginning the pull-away, Derek, as we had anticipated.
He looks very, very consistent on the track. He never puts the wheel off. He knows his exact line, not spectacular under braking, and nicely pulling it away.
Well, here comes Howdy Holmes down the front stretch. He did not choose to come in for a stop, so he thinks apparently that everything is okay with that car. He's through corner number 1 and headed downhill toward the second and third corners. Here he is in turn number 3, and there doesn't appear to be any structural damage to that car. He did get the right wheels off of the course onto the grass, but no damage, at least that's the way it appears right now. Howdy Holmes, by the way, is running in, we'll try to find him on the scoreboard. He's running outside of the top 10 and around 15th or 16th position. Make that 20th position. Howdy Holmes running 20th at this point. Johnny Rutherford in car number 21 is being shown in 21st position. Johnny, of course, won here at Mid-Ohio back in 1980 in a race that we televised on ESPN. It was the first time that the Indy cars made their appearance at Mid-Ohio, and Johnny Rutherford was the winner. Now, they have had two other IndyCar races here at Mid-Ohio since that time. Johnny Rutherford, winner of the inaugural IndyCar race here on this course.
Very good, consistent driver. Of course, Johnny was noted for his superb performances on the oval tracks. Then he had this road race win here at Mid-Ohio. He had some bad luck at Elkhart Lake. The last road race when he crashed in practice and couldn't actually partake in the race. So really, that race would have given him some much-needed mileage. But Rutherford is running here very well, very consistently today.
Johnny Rutherford, of course, crashed rather heavily, as a matter of fact, at Pocono in the most recent IndyCar race, but managed to escape without any injury. But he did do considerable damage to the car, of course. Johnny Rutherford from Fort Worth, Texas, being shown in 21st position right now, and we had an opportunity to talk with JR.
We turn our attention now to the more immediate race, and I remember back in 1980 it was one of the first road course races that ESPN televised, and you were in the winner's circle here.
Yes, I had the Chaparral then with Jim Hall and company, and we had a good day. We really did. We were not a dominating force. We qualified up front, I think 5th or 6th, and everything was right. You know, I just sat there and waited till the end of the race, and we were in the lead and won.
Johnny Rutherford shown in 21st position here in the Alex Morales Vermont American sponsored race car. More battles going on the course involving 2nd, 3rd, and 4th position now. Actually, that car there leading this trio is Dennis Firestone and is not among the leaders, but right behind him is Jeff Brabham. There is the 2nd place car of Danny Sullivan, and then Dennis Firestone, then Jeff Brabham. And as you can see, Mario Andretti has pretty much caught up with Jeff Brabham, perhaps because of the slower car that these drivers are trying to get around.
It looked as if Jeff definitely did lose his advantage by trying to lap Dennis Firestone's car, but it's easy to say Firestone didn't see him. But it is difficult for drivers when they're out there to actually watch behind them as well as watch what's going on ahead of them.
Well, it must be a real disappointment for the points leader going into today's race, Al Unser Sr. Let's go to Gary Lee.
Al, your season has been characterized by consistency. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be today. What happened?
Blew a left rear tire, and exactly what happened, I don't know. Whether I run over something but it let go and it broke the rear suspension so bad that they couldn't repair it.
It's something, though, that can be repaired, so you can take 3 cars to San Air next week, so the other guy can drive.
Oh yeah, it's not that bad. No, I don't know how I kept them putting it in the fence, but it all survived, and I brought it in, and it's repairable with no effort.
We'll see you next week in Canada.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Well, that was one of the big questions as we headed into this race. The comment from the team was that if they had 3 cars next weekend, Rick would drive the 3rd car. If they didn't, it would be Al Unser and Danny Sullivan. And the question is that car repairable? And if it is, then there would be 3 cars, and Al indicates that apparently it is.
You see the sparks fly again from Ray Hall's car under braking for this end of the straight turn here. That's again, these skid blocks haven't quite worn out yet. He's still carrying a fair heavy load of fuel.
Ray Hall passing Howdy Holmes now, so 19 cars are on the lead lap. Howdy is shown in 20th position. 19 cars on the lead lap as Bobby moves through traffic in the lead here. Look at the advantage that he has opened up here. Here comes 2nd place Danny Sullivan, and the advantage now is more than 14 seconds. Bobby Rahal showing his stuff here this afternoon at Mid-Ohio. There's 2nd place Sullivan. Rahal once again behind one of the back markers here as they come out of corner number 15 and onto the front straightaway. Bobby will pass. He was passing, by the way, Rupert Keegan in car number 59.
The problem at a road course like this that's so twisty. Oh, here we have Moreno. It's Moreno. Moreno is off the course. His day is finished. We can't see if he's made contact. Everything looks to be in one piece. I think he is still in the car. If he's still in the car, he possibly may want to try and get a tow to get it restarted. But it doesn't look as if he's actually made contact.
Well, the left front of the car is very close to the barrier, but I don't believe he hit anything, and he may get a restart in this race.
I was saying earlier on about racing and lapping cars on a road course such as Mid-Ohio. Bobby Rahal will now almost hope that the drivers in front will see him and move over, because it's virtually impossible for him to drive around the outside of them at these type of S's. And Rahal will try and hope that there's very courteous drivers out there to protect his lead that he's now built up very nicely.
Well, the positions remain the same. It is Bobby Rahal in the lead with Danny Sullivan running second, Jeff Brabham is third, and Mario Andretti fourth, followed by Jacques Villeneuve. And we'll be right back with more from Mid-Ohio. Although we're in the month of September and it's football time, auto racing continues in full force during the month of September. One of the races we'll cover for you, the Formula One Grand Prix from Belgium. That will be on Sunday, September 15th, beginning at 9:30 in the morning, Eastern Time. Now, this is the race that was postponed from earlier this year because of a poor track surface, but everything has been repaired, and the Formula One race is scheduled September 15th. Be with us for that one here on ESPN. Well, there is Roberto Moreno's car. It is off of the course, and the driver out. He's out of the race. And Raul Boesel, we also understand, has pulled off of the course and has dropped out of competition. Doesn't appear as if Roberto Moreno hit anything, but the car is out of competition. The wing there on the front end is bent just a little bit, so he may have had some contact with the wall or with another driver. The leader is Bobby Rahal. Running in second position is Danny Sullivan, and third is number 7. There is Raul Boesel, by the way, and a little bit of a turbocharger fire perhaps on that car. Nothing of any real significance.
I hope there's not too much firepower gone down there, because it can do more damage than it can prevent. But we have had word that, in fact, Roberto Moreno did make contact with car 30, Al Unser Jr. We can only hope that there's not any damage onto Al Unser Jr., because the man is going through the pain that he's going to go through to drive this race. We hope he's going to make it to the finish.
So the work continues there at the Boesel car.
Derek Daly, this is Gary Lee here in the pit area, and a question to you about strategy. All the guys knew that Bobby Rahal had them covered this weekend by about a mile and a half. Now the question is, I would assume that the guys running second and third are doing just about what they have to do. Don't beat up the equipment trying to chase down the rabbit early. Let the race progress and see if something may happen to Bobby's car before they totally abuse theirs.
I think, Gary, you're perfectly right. They're quite prepared to let Rahal go. Let him use up as much of his car as he can. Try and remain consistent themselves, because second, third, and fourth are running in a very close bunch at the moment, and they're quite content to just let Rahal go ahead. After about 2 pit stops, then I think calculations and strategy may come into play more so than they are at the moment.
Derek, another question. We've had a number of guys take off-course excursions. Could this be because of some slipperiness on the track?
Some of the drivers in the early races today did say the track was quite slippery. It's very, very hot here at Mid-Ohio today. That can tend to lift the moisture out of this new surface that's been put down. I think the drivers should be able to cope with that. Anybody that's off the course, I think they probably only have themselves to blame.
Well, you saw the Horton emergency unit on the racetrack going to the aid of Boesel, who is off of the course. And that always presents a problem for the drivers, because there are some places in this racetrack that are pretty much blind. You come up over a hill and you really can't see over it until you crest it.
That's right, particularly the S's down the end of the back straight. You only hope then that the STCA marshals, who do a fantastic job, are alert and use their yellow flag, because when a yellow flag is being waved, it tells the driver there is danger around the corner, be careful, and any good professional racing driver will back off.
There is Randy Lanier making his way around the keyhole area of the racetrack. Randy Lanier, of course, a former IMSA champion, making his way into IndyCar racing this year. And once again, Michael Andretti and Roberto Guerrero running right together on the racetrack, and they have been doing so for all race long, as a matter of fact. Now, this is the battle for 8th place. Michael Andretti holds 8th, and Guerrero right behind him.
You can see just how much these drivers are driving. They're both over the curb, both using every inch of the road, both kicking up dirt at the odd corner. So there's two men working very, very hard for their wages.
Looks like that their cars are just about equal in terms of horsepower, and it's just a simple matter of waiting for one to make a mistake so the other one can take advantage of it.
Of course, Michael knows how good Roberto is, and likewise, Roberto knows how good Michael is. So they're quite prepared to race it out there to the very end.
Cars here in corner number 2 and number 3. The number 40 car of Emerson Fittipaldi. There's the number 20 of Bruno Giacomelli. And right now, Bruno in that number 20 car is being shown in 13th position. There's Emerson Fittipaldi in 11th spot. One of the 3 drivers who are very much in contention for the top honors in IndyCar racing, the points championship.
Emerson doesn't have the speed here in this race, so he's going to have consistency. He won't want to make a mistake. He'll want to be there at the finish and hope to pick up some points, because they obviously have not got the car quite on the pace here at this race. So Mario, who's actually only running in 4th place at the moment, has got a big advantage. He can actually pull up. I think he can pull up into the points lead if he finishes at 4th or higher.
Fittipaldi started this race in 13th position, almost 5 miles an hour, almost 6 miles an hour, as a matter of fact, off of the top qualifying speed turned in by Bobby Rahal. So it's a bit of a disappointment for him this weekend.
There's the South American battle. Behind Emerson from Brazil is Kiki Mansilla from Argentina. So the PPG World Series is definitely now the World Series.
This is only Mansilla's second IndyCar race. He competed at Elkhart Lake and finished in 9th spot, but he's battling right with Emerson on the racetrack right now.
Mansilla is a very talented, aggressive driver. I'm sure the most important thing he will want is to start finishing these races, because miles maketh the man, and if he can put all these race miles under his belt, it'll stand him in very good stead for next year. I know at Elkhart Lake towards the end of the year we saw him being very aggressive, in fact flew off the road. I think he'll learn by little mistakes like that, calm down, and he can be a very, very good professional driver.
Well, he's a very enthusiastic young race driver, and I agree, he has a bright future in IndyCar racing. This is Emerson Fittipaldi running in 11th spot, and Enrique Mansilla right behind him in 12th position. The leader continues to be Bobby Rahal from Dublin, Ohio, with about a 20-second advantage. There is Bobby right now, about a 20.5-second advantage over Danny Sullivan. In 3rd position remains Jeff Brabham. We'll be back with more of this 200-mile IndyCar race after this. Bobby Rahal has just crossed the start-finish line and completed lap number 27. There is Emerson Fittipaldi, who is pulling out of the pit area from his stop. Now, Bobby Rahal was shown on his pit board to think about coming in next lap. We cannot guarantee that, but it's very possible that Rahal will make his first pit stop next time around.
The South American battle that we watched earlier on is no longer, because Mansilla just had a very long pit stop.
And there is Danny Sullivan, who is in for his first routine pit stop of the afternoon. He's running in 2nd position. The clock is ticking off in the upper right portion of your screen. Now more than 16 seconds have elapsed as the crew is still working. Now the car is full of fuel, the tires are changed, and Danny Sullivan smokes the tires and pulls back out onto the race course. Jeff Brabham also has made his stop, and now we anticipate Bobby Rahal very shortly in his pit. There is Rahal proceeding through the final corners of the racetrack. And we'll see what happens here if Rahal does come in. He is dropping to the left side of the track, and indeed he is coming in. Here is Gary Lee for a call of Bobby Rahal's pit stop.
We have him right here, right on schedule. The crew goes to work. They will change 3 tires, top off the fuel. He will take liquid refreshment in the cockpit. And obviously he's had more laps on this track than any other driver, and perhaps this crew has had more time to work on the car in practice. But right now, they're still topping off the fuel, still working on the left rear of the car. The car is still up on the pneumatic jack. And now they're changing all 4. They changed the left front. So he had the big lead, and now he's underway.
Not necessarily a good pit stop, though. It was more than 25 seconds for Bobby Rahal. He's a man in a hurry right now as he tries to scurry back out of the racetrack.
We see a very different strategy. Gary spoke of his strategy earlier on. Rahal stayed in longer, changed all 4 tires. Sullivan only changed 3 and gained a couple of seconds. Rahal will bank on this load of fuel and these 4 fresh tires to gain him back more than the advantage he lost.
Here is Al Unser Jr. in for his stop. You can see the heat rising off of the race car and the engine compartment as fuel is being put in. Now it's full. The tires have been changed. They're making a slight chassis adjustment at the front end of the race car. And Al Unser Jr. appears to be set to go now. There he is moving away. Roberto Guerrero has also made a pit stop. So now you can see Roberto just coming out of the pits behind Al Unser Jr. So most of the top runners have been in for their first routine stop of the afternoon, one of 2 that we anticipate in this race.
These pit stops are so critical in this form of racing because we see there where Al Unser Jr. obviously had a long stop. Guerrero, who's way behind him on the track, and now goes out behind him. So Guerrero has gained enormously by his quick pit stop just there in the first run.
So the standings right now are being shaken. Here is Mario Andretti in for a stop. Crew changing rubber on the right side of that car, and also I believe the left rear, and they maybe, yes they are, they're changing all 4 tires on the Mario Andretti car. Dennis Firestone, we understand, has coasted into the pit area, so he may have run out of fuel, but he did make it in, and here is Mario Andretti pulling out of the pit.
It looks to us as if Mario has possibly had the fastest pit stop of all. And in fact, he's gained a position. He now comes out behind Jeff Brabham.
So there is Mario Andretti trying to work back up to speed now. We understand that the CART observers around the track are watching the number 71 car of Mansilla for a possible loose rear wheel, right rear. We'll keep our eye on that and report if anything does indeed develop out of it.
Frantic activity in the Dennis Firestone pit. He did make it to the pits. He did get fueled up, but he stalled on the way out. They did try and push him, but he's back now into his pits. Engine is not running, so he may be done for the day. We'll keep an eye on that one. Car 36, Dennis Firestone.
Some great racing here as these drivers who made their pit stops have come out together on the racetrack, or at least a couple of them, and now are battling for position. That's Mario Andretti high on the racetrack in car number 1, trying desperately to work his way around Michael Andretti, who in turn is trying to pass the number 57 car of Randy Lanier. And Johnny Rutherford has spun on the race course, and his car sits helplessly almost blocking the track, and you can see that he has had contact with the retaining barrier. And now it's going to be interesting to watch the driver slow down and get around Rutherford, because his car is right in the middle of the racetrack.
That may bring out the pace car. That car, if they can get it off, the left front suspension is broken. If they can get a tow truck to it and drag him away, we'll be safe. But if they can't move that, that will bring out the pace car, which is an unusual sight on one of these road courses.
Well, they are working feverishly to back that car off of the racetrack and at least get it into a more safe position, at least safer for the drivers who are still out there on the track at speed approaching this stalled car of Johnny Rutherford. Johnny's out, though. He's okay. We're glad to see that. And we'll be back with more from Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in just a moment. We are back for the Escort Radar Warning 200 IndyCar race at Mid-Ohio. 32 laps have been completed now, and Bobby Rahal remains in the lead, this after the first series of pit stops. His advantage now on Danny Sullivan is about 19 seconds. Out of competition is Kevin Kogan, whose car has come to a halt on the near corner number 14, almost to the pit entrance, and it could very well be that Kevin is out of fuel. When that happens on a road course, and there's nothing, no momentum, no banking or anything to carry you around to the pits, and you're pretty much stuck where you are.
That's right. We're fairly sure that it is fuel, because Michael Andretti, his teammate, who they were running together on the racetrack, just had come in the lap before. So I think maybe the Craigwood team just left Kevin one lap too long. I'm pretty sure he's out of gas.
There may be a development in the Al Unser Jr. pit. Let's get that story from Gary Lee.
When we were standing down here, it was just 2 weeks ago, Dennis Swan at Pocono, that 2 stop-and-go penalties probably cost you the race. Now you've been assessed another one today. What's the problem?
Evidently, we passed car 12 in a yellow
flag situation somewhere on the track. I don't.
Now, you have radioed to Little Al. You have told him that there's a stop-and-go penalty, but he has not come in.
Negative. I radioed him, but he didn't receive the message because he was racing. They'll just black flag us and we'll come in. It's pretty confusing when there's this many cars this close together.
10 or 15 laps back, contact was made between Moreno and your driver, bending the rear wing. Now, when he made the pit stop, you made an adjustment to the front. Was that to counteract or compensate for the problem in the back?
Yes, sir. That was to try and balance it all out.
So now we'll just watch for the black flag for the stop-and-go penalty for Al Jr.
It's an unfortunate situation for Al Unser Jr. because he is competing in 7th position right now and is in a battle for that position. But he will be coming in momentarily. We anticipate Roberto Guerrero running right behind him on the track. We've had 2 leaders of this race. Look at the traffic here. Oh, they're approaching the Johnny Rutherford accident. And boy, they had to get on the binders there to avoid hitting Rutherford.
It looks Unser Jr. almost had his stop and go right there on the track.
That is Randy Lanier, whose car has quit running just beyond the Johnny Rutherford accident. Here is Al Unser Jr. now coming in for the stop-and-go penalty. He's shaking his fist at the pit crew, I'm sure trying to indicate his frustrations with the matter, and he's still shaking his fist as he pulls back out on the track.
I think the cars officials definitely know he's upset. It's an incredibly frustrating thing for a driver to be assessed one of these penalties. But rules are rules, and the cars officials do a good job here. I suppose we have to respect them. In a situation like this where Al was running in the top 6, when the adrenaline flows and he races so hard to get to the position he's in, he made up time early in the race, and then to come out and have this put on him. You can see the reaction. You can see the reaction. He's not very impressed. He's not very pleased. Oftentimes it makes the driver go faster.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It makes him mad.
It would seem that the adrenaline would then pump even faster, and you simply take your frustrations out on something, and most race drivers, I would guess, take it out on the accelerator.
Exactly, and of course the worst about it is it comes right after Pocono, where you had 2 stop-and-go penalties.
Right. We've had 2 leaders of this race. During Bobby Rahall's pit stop, Mario Andretti led for 1 lap, but then Mario came in, and Bobby Rahal took the lead back. So 2 leaders in this race right now. Rahal with a 19-second lead over Danny Sullivan. 3rd is Jeff Rabin. In 4th position is Mario Andretti, and 5th is Jacques Villeneuve. 6 through 10. In 6th position is Bill Whittington. 7th is Roberto Guerrero. 8th is being shown as Al Unser Jr. However, he may have dropped a position because of his stop-and-go penalty. Then in 9th spot is the number 99 of Michael Andretti, and 10th is Emerson Fittipaldi. The updated statistics come to us, and it indicates that Al Unser Jr. did not lose a position. He is still in 8th spot.
We still have some frantic pit work here. Roberto Guerrero, his day is over. His car has just arrived in plumes of smoke. Firestone earlier on had some trouble leaving the pit. He is out running again. However, he has no clutch. They had to spin the rear wheels, throw water on the track. He slid his way out, but I doubt if he's going to last long on a road course without a clutch.
There is Roberto Guerrero's car that is being pushed behind the wall and out of the race. So Guerrero joins the growing list of drivers and cars that have dropped out. Now here is 4th and 5th position. Mario Andretti right now in 4th, but not too far behind is Jacques Villeneuve. There's Mario moving down the back straightaway here at Mid-Ohio. Mario in 2nd position in the point standings. It was about at this time last season that he took over the points lead and went on to win the national championship. And now he finds himself for the first time since then in 2nd position, as Al Unser Sr. has gone into the lead in the points. But they're going to change again because, in case you have just joined us, Al Unser Sr. was one of the first cars out of the race. In fact, the 2nd car out of the race after only 12 laps. The rear tire blew on Al Unser Sr., the suspension was damaged, and he had to drop out of competition.
I think Mario is in exactly the position he wants. Top 3 or 4 is exactly where he wants to be until about 15 or 20 laps to go. Then he can decide whether he wants to make a harder charge. He looks comfortable in the car. Michigan injury. But I think he's in exactly the position he will want to be at the moment.
Well, look at Jacques Villeneuve here, who is having difficulty passing Dennis Firestone. Firestone not among the leaders, and Jacques Villeneuve is trying very desperately to get around him because he was running with Mario Andretti before he had to slow down and get around Dennis Firestone. As they go down the backstretch, the perfect opportunity for Jacques Villeneuve to pass. He is not able to. Now he does as they approach corner number 6.
Of course, Firestone still running with that broken clutch, which will make him slow entering and exiting these slow speed corners because the gearbox and the engine are used so much when you're braking and accelerating.
Other drivers that have dropped out of competition besides Al Unser Sr., Ludwig Heimrath Jr. is out, so is Dale Coyne, Roberto Moreno, Raul Boisel, Johnny Rutherford because of an accident, but he's okay. Kevin Coogan, Randy Lanier, and Roberto Guerrero. All of those cars have dropped out, and the number 24, Ferm Johnson, is also out with a gearbox problem. So we have 38 laps completed. Bobby Rahal is the leader. We'll be back with more of our coverage from Mid-Ohio after this message. Larry Newber and I bring you the latest in auto sports activity every Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern Time on Speed Week. You can catch up on all the results and all the news from the world of auto racing and all forms of motorsports, as a matter of fact, on Speed Week. Join us this Thursday at 7:30. Let's go to Gary Lee, who has an interesting little competition that's going on in the pit area. Gary?
Well, indeed, all the drivers get all the attention, but today there's a competition for the crew members. For the third straight season, the Dana Corporation is sponsoring the Pit Crew Award. They take the 10 fastest qualifiers and time each stop. So today, Bobby Rahal was in for 39.45 seconds. That reflects the time it took him to drive into the pit, stop, and then exit the pit area. Now, on the course of the season, we look at this chart over here and see that Danny Sullivan's crew is leading in points with 84. Rick Mears is now second with 82. The winner of each race receives $1,100. The overall winner for the season, $25,000. It's important to be fast, but even more incentive for the crew members.
It's very interesting the way they time these pit stops. They have an individual with a computer who's at the entrance to the pit area and another computer at the exit of the pit area, and every time the car goes by them, they simply hit the key and it exactly records how long they were in the pit area. Not necessarily the stop itself, but from the entrance point to the exit point. Lead continues to be held by Bobby Rahal. And the advantage just about 17 seconds over Danny Sullivan, who has been running in second position all race long, and Jeff Brabham has been running in third position all race long. As a matter of fact, Mario Andretti running fourth just about all race long, with the exception of the one lap that he led.
Rahal still looks very, very comfortable out there. The car does everything he wants. He had a super pit stop. We know he put 4 fresh tires on. You see him just clip the curve there, and he moves that all the way to the grass. There, he touches the grass there again. So he is using all the roads, but he looks very, very comfortable, able to maintain this advantage that he's got over Sullivan.
Here's a battle for 7th position. It involves Al Unser Jr. and Michael Andretti, a couple of the second-generation drivers going at it here. Al Unser Jr. had a stop-and-go penalty assessed just a few laps ago, but he was able to maintain his position out there. Now has his hands full, though, on the racetrack with Michael Andretti. Michael has been doing so well in the races recently. Had a 13th place finish at Pocono, but was second at Elkhart Lake, and now looks like he's going to make a move, or at least he tries, but just could not outplay Al Unser Jr., and so he maintains that position. Good racing, though, between these two relatively young race drivers.
Definitely two of the best young racing drivers in America at the moment. Two men who will definitely go a long, long way in racing.
Michael Andretti with also a 4th place finish this year at the Meadowlands and a 7th at Cleveland, sandwiched in between those pretty good finishes with a 27th place finish at the Michigan 500. But Michael Andretti has both raced and qualified very well in many, many races here this year. And it would appear, Derek, that perhaps Michael has the faster car of these two, but just cannot find the opportunity to pass.
Particularly under braking, he seems to catch him quite a lot. Now, on a road course, you use the right foot to brake, and brake hard especially at the end of the straight here at Mid-Ohio. Alonso Jr. broke his right foot, maybe causing him some discomfort. Maybe he's not able to use that brake pedal exactly as he would like.
42 laps completed at this point, and the average speed after 40 laps was 107.057 miles an hour. Now Michael shoots to the inside at the end of the backstretch, gets the inside advantage, and passes Al Unser Jr. Nice move there.
Very, very nice move. And you see the professionalism of Al Unser Jr. When Michael got alongside, there was no question of disputing the corner. Unser Jr. just stayed on line, let Michael go inside. He knew the corner was lost, he knew the position was gone, and they continue racing safely.
So Michael Andretti now moves up to 7th position, and he drops Al Unser Jr. back to 8th, and this is how it happened.
That's right. You see Michael, he comes down the inside. Now, Al Unser Jr. could turn right here and squeeze Michael down over the curve, but he doesn't. He stays on the wide line, gives Michael all the room he needs, and both drivers continue on to race.
Roberto Guerrero is out of this Escort Radar Warning 200 from Mid-Ohio. Let's go down to the pit area. Here's Gary.
Mr. Guerrero, you encountered 2 problems out there. Let's talk about the mechanical one first.
Well, unfortunately, a header broke. One of the exhausts broke, and then the engine caught on fire after that.
But visibility is also a problem. Let's take a look at the helmet if we can. Look at the oil on the helmet. He was using 2 tear-offs. It took both tear-offs because the oil was coming from Michael Andretti?
Yeah, he was just spilling a little bit of oil, and I was glad when I got by him, because then it was very difficult to see when I was in front of him.
Well, obviously we can watch for others to pull up behind Michael and perhaps encounter the same problem that you did.
I would expect so, yeah.
Still smiling, Roberto Guerrero.
And that person right now would be Al Unser Jr., who's right behind him. Well, the pole sitter for our 200-mile race here at Mid-Ohio today was Bobby Rahal, qualified at 114.791. On the outside of row number 1 was Danny Sullivan, about 1.5 miles slower than Bobby Rahal. At the moment, Rahal is the leader of this race as we have completed the halfway point, 42 laps. The average speed is a little over 107 miles an hour. We've had 2 leaders and 2 lead changes besides Bobby Rahal. The other leader was Mario Andretti for 1 lap, and then Rahal took back the lead when Andretti came in for his pit stop. Several cars have dropped out of competition, including Dale Coyne, Al Unser Sr., Ludwig Heimrath Jr., Roberto Moreno, and Raul Boisel. Others who are out, Johnny Rutherford because of an accident. He's okay, though. Kevin Kogan is out, so is Randy Lanier, Roberto Guerrero, Herm Johnson, and the most recent to drop out of competition, the number 36 of Dennis Firestone, who has... We are back at Mid-Ohio, where the race is being dominated at this point by Bobby Rahal, who is just about to pass Michael Andretti, who's running in 7th position. Here are the top runners. Rahal in the lead, Danny Sullivan running 2nd, the interval about 19 seconds. Jeff Rabham is 3rd, Mario Andretti is 4th, and Jacques Villeneuve is running in 5th position. In 6th place is Bill Whittington, who's doing a fine, consistent job out there this afternoon. Michael Andretti running in 7th position, followed by Al Unser Jr., Emerson Fittipaldi in 9th, and Bruno Giacomelli in 10th position. Now here is Bobby Rahal, and he is trying to pass Michael Andretti and put 6 cars now on the lead lap. At the present time, there are 7. Michael running in 7th position. See how Rahal handles this situation, and he bottoms out, but manages to squeeze by, and he passed Andretti at the same point that Andretti passed Al Unser Jr. just a few laps ago.
Rahal really has such a big lead in this thing. He can comfortably pass these people who are running in the top 10. So, barring mechanical failure, he's going to have this race wrapped up.
Kiki Mansilla has gotten off of the race course, and he's trying to get started again by being pushed by the corner workers, but it looks like it's going to be to no avail. The corner workers have to get off of the racetrack because of cars that are coming by, so Mansilla is hoping that he gets started again and can get back in competition.
Of course, no onboard starters here, and these cars, when they're as hot as they are now, need a very good push to get them started. So Mansilla, unless he gets 4 or 5 people, is in trouble.
6 cars saw the leader, Bobby Rahal, pass Steve Chaffee as the cars moved down the front stretch here, and Steve moved that car over so that Bobby could pass without any problems at all. Steve Chaffee right now is the only stock block engine in the race. Earlier today, Dale Coyne dropped out of competition, so now Steve has the only stock block still in the race.
Villeneuve is still running in 5th place and gaining again on Mario Andretti. When they get involved in this traffic, Andretti seems to read the road just a little bit better, can put out a slight advantage. But Villeneuve has got a clear road now and is catching Andretti, trying to get that 4th place away from him.
Jacques is 31 seconds behind the leader, but running right with Mario Andretti on the race course as we continue to follow Bobby Rahal, doing an outstanding job here this afternoon in keeping the lead and, as a matter of fact, stretching out the distance between himself and everybody else. Approaching right now, there they passed the Mansilla car, and as you can see, the safety vehicle has arrived at the scene and will try to get KK either restarted or off to a safe place. Bill Whittington is doing a fine job. You can see he was the co-winner of a major race in the world, as a matter of fact, and now is in the top 10 here at Mid-Ohio. Bill Whittington from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's the Arciero Racing Team car, and he is right ahead of the leader of the race. Cars come down the backstretch. Bill is a lap down, actually 2 laps down, in 9th position. Bill Whittington drives only sporadically on the IndyCar series and is not a regular, but seems to do well when he does compete.
Particularly on the oval tracks. Indianapolis did very, very well, especially, and also his brother Don, who took over from Gordon Junker when he retired. But Bill Whittington here running in 9th place, doing a nice consistent job in one of his very few road course appearances this year.
Bill, so far, this will be his 7th race of 1985. The most recent one he competed in was Elkhart, in which he finished in 24th spot. Rahal moves out of turn number 15 and comes down the straightaway, trying to put another lap on Whittington, but is unable to do so as the cars have to get off the accelerator and brake for turn number 1. Now we'll see what Bobby does as they go into turn number 2. Still cannot make the pass. Whittington staving off the pass by Bobby Rahal.
Rahal still using all the road. You see, he bounces over the curves, using every bit of road he can, trying to keep stretching this lead advantage.
Well, your observation a few minutes ago, Derek, about Jacques Villeneuve racing with and putting pressure on Mario Andretti was certainly true, because Jacques has moved around Mario, and now Jacques is into 4th position. Another good run for the Canadian.
His eyes are now obviously on Jeff Brabham, but Jeff has about 7 or 8 seconds on Villeneuve at the moment, so it's going to be probably another 4 or 5 laps before we can see whether Villeneuve is going to make inroads into the lead that Brabham has over him.
We speculated earlier that Kevin Kogan may have run out of fuel on the race course, the reason that he is out of the event. Let's find out if that is the case by going to Gary Lee.
Well, in fact, Bob, it was a very astute observation, because indeed you did run out of fuel.
Yeah, I did. I was running pretty hard. I felt like that I was stuck behind traffic several times, and I was running it real hard, so I think I ran it out of fuel a little early. I was going to pit that lap. That was my in lap. So up to that point, the Wolf system car was running really good as far as handling was concerned, but it's so difficult to pass. I was just kind of stuck where I was.
So you had the boost cranked up running in traffic and simply ran out of fuel.
Yeah, I was running it pretty hard. I was kind of frustrated. Mike was throwing oil at the beginning, and I thought I could get by him, but I kept almost spinning in his oil, and then Roberto got by, and very frustrating, you know, because traffic, I think, was favoring them, and you know how it goes.
The car was handling well, but not well enough. He's out of fuel and out of the race.
Well, Gary, you might do us a favor and move toward the area of Jeff Brabham, because he came into the pit area while you were conducting that interview with Kevin Kogan, and that engine, there is Jeff Brabham, that engine was popping and cracking and sounding like that he was having serious trouble. Now, Howdy Holmes has also gotten off the course in the keyhole area, and they are trying to get him off of the racetrack into a safe location. Well, fuel consumption is very important, and there are ways in which you can conserve fuel. With a further look, here is Gary Lee.
Limits the amount of fuel consumed at a championship car race with a very easy formula. The driver must maintain 1.8 miles per gallon. Now here at Mid-Ohio, the race is 200 miles long, so divide that by 1.8. And given 3 additional laps prior to the green, the cars will start with 40 gallons on board. The crew will have 75 gallons in the pit side tank. The crews will make 2 pit stops. After the first one, they'll compute the mileage. However, the final control really is within the cockpit. Let's go to the cockpit and howdy Holmes.
In IndyCar racing, we have a thing that's called a boost control, activated by the driver. Kart racing, you're allowed 48 inches of boost. Obviously, the more boost you use, the more horsepower and the more gas. The less boost, the less horsepower, and the less gas.
So obviously, fuel consumption is a major problem here at the racetrack. And the larger the road course, the more difficult it is to coast back to the pit area out of fuel if there's a miscalculation.
Well, the idea of limiting fuel, restricting the amount that can be used and the amount that is in the car came about as we continue to watch Howdy Holmes, who explained to us the boost control in the cockpit. He sits helplessly in corner number 4. It came about because of the fuel shortage a few years ago. Derek, do you support the idea that these cars should be given more fuel, or is it a good idea to restrict them and therefore restrict the speed that they can achieve during the race?
I have to say I'm for giving them the amount of fuel they need. I would rather see drivers run full boost from the green flag to the checkered flag. That, to me, is the way to go racing. And I would be for having more fuel.
There is Jeff Brabham, whose problems continue. They're working in the engine compartment. Tough break for Jeff Brabham, who is in the top 5. We'll be right back at Mid-Ohio. From Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Stop number 10 on the PPG IndyCar World Series for 1985, and this race is being brought to you by Nissan, builders of technologically advanced cars and trucks for over 50 years. For drivers who demand quality, the name is Nissan. And by Goodyear, makers of the high-performance radio, the Eagle. So we are at lap number 53 out of 84, and Jeff Brabham, who came into the pit area a few laps ago with a very sour-sounding engine, is moving back out onto the race course, but he has lost several laps. And he's moving very slowly. The driver that many thought would win today's Escort Radar Warning 200 IndyCar race will not do so this time. Bobby Rahal has up to his advantage by about 20 seconds over second place Danny Sullivan. Now Jeff Brabham gets back up to speed and rejoins the race right beside and now right behind Al Unser Jr. Rahal with about a 20-second lead now over Danny Sullivan. Rahal has led almost all the way. He dropped out of the lead for 1 lap during a pit stop, but aside from that, he has been unbelievably strong. Jacques Villeneuve is in the pits, and that brings another one of our top 5 runners in for a pit stop. This could be a routine stop for Jacques Villeneuve. He was last in on lap number 27. This is lap number 54. There is Jacques. They're having to push the car, and as a matter of fact, he stalled the car, and they'll have to move him back and restart it. Why does that happen, Derek?
The reason is the engine is so hot that the clutch gets very hot. The driver doesn't get the same ability to press the clutch, stick it in gear, and drive away. As soon as he slots it into first gear, the clutch immediately begins to drag, and sometimes the driver doesn't have enough revs up, and the engine dies. And when the engine dies, it's a disaster because you've got to pull the car back, plug the starter in, go through the complete start procedure, and get him away. Exactly as has happened to Villeneuve, and that has probably cost him 15, maybe 20 seconds.
It indeed has, and probably 2 or 3 positions on the racetrack. Now there are only 3 cars on the lead lap at this point, and we anticipate Bobby Rahal's pit stop in 2 more laps. That's the signal that he has been given by his pit crew. Rahal will stop in probably 2 more laps.
Of course, the trouble that these people around him are now having is good for Mario. Mario is sitting in exactly the same place again, now in 3rd place on a nice, consistent run, and I would say even now he'd be happy to finish there. Mario is a man that likes to win and only win, but I would say he'd be happy with 3rd place.
Well, do you think he's going for the win, or is he kind of taking it easy here and making sure the car holds up so he can get a high place finish, knowing that Allenzer Sr. is already out of the race and that Emerson Fittipaldi is not doing all that well.
His team will definitely have told him that Unser Sr. is out, and he will now know that the most important thing at this stage is points, championship points. Two marches are ahead of him. Maybe the march has a slight advantage of this race. So I think points are the number one thing that Mario wants at the moment.
There you can see Bobby Rahall's crew getting ready for his stop. Here is Danny Sullivan, the second-place competitor, in for his second pit stop of the afternoon. The crew goes to work. It looks like, again, Derek, they are changing only 3 tires. They're letting the left rear go. Or are they changing 4?
Looks like all 4 tires. Indeed, 3 the last time, 4 this time.
Yes, that is indeed the case. Fuel being put in, seconds ticking off, more than 22 seconds have elapsed now, as looks like they're also making a wing adjustment on the right side of the car.
Now, that's an unusual adjustment. He's actually taken the screw out of the side of the wing. That's more than just a small adjustment that normally happens. I can only think that something fell off the car or broke on that right front wing. Now, 39-40 seconds. This is going to cost Sullivan his second place, definitely.
How would you know that something like that has gone wrong? Is there a noticeable way that the car handles differently? And here comes Bobby Rahal. Let's go to Gary Lee. You can answer the question later. Gary?
Rahal is here. It looks like a 3-tire change, topping off the fuel. Very, very routine. This man obviously has had so much practice on this track. He had the advantage all throughout the weekend. The crew goes to work to see if they can have a faster stop this time than the first stop. Now they like to go with all 4 new tires. So just as the first stop, the 4 tires tops off the fuel. He's at 21.1 seconds for Bobby Rahal.
So Rahal has picked up another 20 seconds in the pits. He was 21 seconds in the lead. Sullivan had a 41-second pit stop. Rahal 21. So that has cost Sullivan dearly and has given Rahal a huge advantage.
Tom Snever rolled in very, very slowly. We thought maybe he was out of fuel, but now it is Tom Snever who is unbuckling and getting out of the car. Mario Andretti, running in 3rd position, is in for a stop.
He also makes a wing adjustment. Just see the mechanic run away after making the wing adjustment with the little wrench he used.
Don't you have to be careful also when you pop the clutch and hit the accelerator and peel out of the pit area, because something in the suspension can break very easily, can it, in the rear?
That's right. Drive shafts are the biggest thing that can break in these cars because of such a huge force of acceleration, especially in bumpy pit lanes. If the rear wheels start to bounce off the ground, 700 horsepower driving them can easily stop the rear drive shaft. So you need as much speed as you can get, but you have to be just that little bit careful to make sure you don't break the car.
Well, let's answer the question that I asked you just a few minutes ago. How would Danny Sullivan know that a major handling adjustment had to be made there in the front wing? How can you tell? Is there really a noticeable difference in the way the car handles?
Very much so. He can feel the handling of his car change virtually every 10 laps as the fuel load lightens. And if he lost downforce on his front wing, he immediately picks up understeer. The car immediately begins to push a lot more than he would like in the turn. When the car begins to push, it wears out the front tires. And he will have come on his radio saying there's a serious push problem, and the first place the mechanic will look is at the front wing, which is what he did and found something broken or something amiss.
Second pit stops have been completed, and Bobby Rahal is able to hang on to his lead. He's dominated so far this 200-miler at Mid-Ohio. We'll take this break and be right back for more of this 200-mile race. Track report brought to you by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks and on the world's roads, depend on STP, your car care company. Phoenix International Raceway has been sold, and repaving of the surface has been completed. Earlier this year, an IndyCar race was postponed there because of a rough track surface. The Indy cars are scheduled to return there for a 150-mile race on October 13th, a race that will be televised live here on ESPN. CART and Penske Speedway management will determine the extent of repairs that must be made to Michigan International Speedway following a race there on September 22nd, another live race on ESPN. Earlier this year, the Michigan 500 was postponed for a week because of a problem that Goodyear was having with its radial tires. And Goodyear says it will redesign its superspeedway radials to provide more advance warning to drivers in the event of a puncture from debris. Goodyear says radial tires are more puncture resistant than the bias plies, but Goodyear wants the radials to produce a similar warning when they are punctured. We talked with a representative of Goodyear about this decision.
Leo Mel, the director of racing for Goodyear, give us an update, if you will, on the redesign of the radial for the superspeedway.
As after the Michigan incident, we've been studying the tires, and we've not been able to adequately explain what happened to the tires. We feel they were probably punctured, but we can't prove that. Our main concern is the tire did not give adequate warning to the driver so he could stop and slow down and change the tire. So we're redesigning the tire to change it so it gives adequate warning to the driver when there's a puncture or other problem.
The Beatrice Corporation has been involved in sponsorship of Mario Andretti's Indy cars since the beginning of this year. The new Beatrice-sponsored Formula One car owned by Carl Haas will make its debut in Formula One racing a week from today at the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. The driver will be Alan Jones. And that's this week's STP Inside Track Report. Live on Wednesday, September the 11th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Top Rank Boxing from Atlantic City. The 10-round heavyweight bout involves Marvis Frazier against Jose Revolta. And the light heavyweight tournament semifinals Western Division, an 8-rounder for light heavyweights involving Tim Brody and Art McLeod. Join us on Top Rank Boxing Wednesday, September the 11th at 9 Eastern Time. Tom Sneeb is out of the race. Gary Lee is with him.
Well, Tom, that is the spiffiest hat that anybody wears at the racetrack, but obviously right now you would prefer to have the racing helmet on.
Well, we really would. You know, the race is still going on and we're sitting in the pits, so that's not real good for the Skull Bandit.
Put you in the pits.
It looks like a ring and pinion or something went out because I don't have any forward motion in any of the gear ratios, so probably a ring and pinion or differential or something.
We have seen a number of drivers off the track today. Any problems out there with the surface?
Well, no, it's just, you know, they're trying to go a little faster than the track or the car wants to go, and, you know, this track, you've got to be so precise, you make a little mistake and it gets you in big trouble. So, you know, it's just a very demanding racetrack, and I'm sure we'll see some more later in the race because fatigue's going to set in for some of these guys.
Next week, San Air, more to your liking?
Well, I hope so. We get it to run all day, and we'll be all right because the Skull Bandit's coming. We're just running out of races as well.
All right, Derek, another question for you in the booth. Why the high attrition rate this afternoon?
I can only think, Gary, that it's due to, one, the heat, two, driver fatigue, as Tom mentioned, because Mid-Ohio, as I found out last year, is one of the most physically demanding of racetracks. Today, with the high temperatures, the drivers definitely do suffer from fatigue. Otherwise,
I was told by my pit producer to ask Derek that.
Otherwise, I can think that it's mechanical failures, particularly someone like Jeff Brabham. I mean, can we say mechanical failure again for him? Most unfortunate, but however, such is the racing life.
Derek, how would you compare as Jeff Brabham has come back into the pits again and they're taking the hood cover off, the engine cover off, and begin work now on the side pod? How would you compare this track to, say, an Elkhart Lake, which is much longer, but I think the consensus of opinion is, as we talk to the drivers before the race, this one is much more demanding physically.
It definitely is much more demanding physically because I think there's so much up and down hills, right, left turns, heavy braking, heavy acceleration, and that type of loading and jarring of the body inside the car. The driver goes left, right, forward, backwards very, very quickly here. That's the type of thing that physically drains the driver. And of course, add your temperatures and your 6 layers of fireproof suit, and you have a very tired man at the end of 84 laps.
Bobby Rahal averaging just under 107 miles an hour for the first 60 laps of this race. 63 circuits have now been completed, so we've got 21 to go. And Bobby Rahal's advantage over Mario Andretti, who is now in second position, is about 42 seconds. Andretti is second. Danny Sullivan has dropped to third place. Michael Andretti is fourth. Jacques Villeneuve is fifth. In sixth place is Al Unser Jr. Seventh is Emerson Fittipaldi. In eighth position is Bill Whittington. Ninth is Bruno Giacomelli, and in 10th position is the number 98 of Ed Pym. Those are the top 10 with 63 laps completed. We'll be back with more of the Escort Radar Warning 200 from Mid-Ohio. Mid-Ohio, where Enrique Kiki Mancilla from Argentina has just spun off the race course, but was able to engage the clutch and keep going. Enrique, one of many drivers who have had off-course excursions this afternoon. Mancilla in the number 71 was in 11th position when this incident occurred. And, of course, he also had some problems during the running of the Elkhart Lake race and spun off course more than once. But Enrique is just learning in IndyCar.
I think to have a driver with the enthusiasm that he has is good. To have a driver that has no enthusiasm to try and make him go fast is the worst thing a team manager would want. So Enrique, we just guide him along the road a little bit, and he's going to be good.
Bobby Rahal continues to be the leader here at Mid-Ohio. And the prize money that Bobby Rahal is going for this afternoon will be just a little more than $53,000. Now, there is Danny Sullivan running third, and there is Mario Andretti, who is second. You can see the interval between these two cars. Andretti has just passed Ed Pym, who is in 10th spot, but there is Danny Sullivan not too far behind.
This will definitely only be a second-place battle because Rahal, although he's 42nd in the lead, he's still lapping about a second a lap quicker than Andretti can manage. So this, barring mechanical failure for Rahal, this will only stay as a second-place battle here.
Rahal has been dominant, no question about that, and he has been turning laps right around 107 or even 8 miles an hour, which is only about 5 miles an hour off of his qualifying speed. So Bobby Rahal flexing the muscles here this weekend and showing perhaps that he has something to prove. His lead up to 44.2 seconds. I would imagine that there is that element in Bobby Rahal's mind. Things have gone wrong so many times this year, mechanically, that he wants to prove to everybody that he still has the winning spirit within him.
That's right, and everything is completely out of his hands at the moment. He is just finishing off and doing the job that the mechanics have given him to do. He can only finish off the work that the men have done in his pits for weeks and weeks and weeks. So he can only pray for consistency at this stage.
We're watching the number 55 car of Jose Le Garza leading Al Unser Jr., but now this is not a race for position. Al Unser Jr. is shown in 6th place, a lap down. Jose Le Garza in number 55 is shown as 5 laps down, and little Al goes to the inside and passes Jose Le Garza rather easily.
Garza did lose many laps earlier in the race when he was black flagged for loose bodywork. He lost quite a bit of time having to come in and have that fixed. Hence, Garza is now 5 laps down at the moment.
Our 10th place competitor, Ed Pym, has moved in for a quick pit stop as we continue to watch Al Unser Jr. Al, of course, the winner 2 times this year on the IndyCar World Series. He was the winner at the Meadowlands, and then the very next weekend he came back to win the IndyCar race at Cleveland. And he finished in 2nd spot during the Portland race that we televised live for you on ESPN. In fact, led a great portion of that race before being passed late by Mario Andretti. Sullivan in number 4. The other Penske car is slowing on the racetrack. Danny in 3rd position at this point. And is he slowing completely, or did he just have to back off the accelerator and lose the RPM and now is working back up to speed? We'll watch him to see if he is in trouble and has to come in for a stop. He passes the pit entrance, so he's not going to come in for a stop. Perhaps it was just a momentary thing with that car. Danny appears to be moving at a rather rapid pace right now.
Something definitely did happen because he was only about a second or a second and a half behind Mario the lap previous to this. And now there's a good 6 or 7 seconds gap between them. So something definitely did happen. Perhaps he missed a gear change. We don't know. We'll have to let it develop another couple of laps.
He's 5th in the point standings right now and still with a mathematical chance of being the national champion, but he's got a lot of work cut out for him. He, of course, won the Indianapolis 500 this year, and by virtue of that, Danny Sullivan has won more money than anybody else on the IndyCar trail for 1985, but is 5th in the point standings. Young man from Louisville, Kentucky, who was in IndyCar racing, then went back to Formula One, and then came back to IndyCar racing, and he found success greatly this year with his win in Indianapolis.
Had such a fantastic start to the season, was by far and away the fastest man in IndyCar racing for many, many races, but never finished. Other than Indianapolis, Danny couldn't finish a race. And this is what happens in racing. And we see here today, he's starting on the front row and just isn't quite able to keep up with Rahal's pace. But the Penske team will keep Sullivan running very, very consistently, even if he's not in a race-winning position here.
There's your leader, Bobby Rahal. The lead is 42 seconds over Mario Andretti. We have completed 69 out of 84 laps here in Mid-Ohio, and we will pause for this message and then be back with more coverage from Mid-Ohio. Stay with us. Back at Mid-Ohio, where Bobby Rahal's domination of this race continues. He took the lead at the drop of the green flag, held the lead until he made his first pit stop. Mario Andretti moved into the lead for just one lap, but then Rahal took the lead once again. He held the lead during his second pit stop, and now the advantage is of almost 43 seconds. Bobby Rahal from Dublin, Ohio, started on the pole, and he is the dominant force so far in this race. Back in 7th and 8th position, battle going on, involving the number 40 car of Emerson Fittipaldi, as Bill Whittington also is involved in a race on the track with Mario Andretti. Now, this is not for position once again, but these two are doing some nice dicing out there. Andretti, the lead car, and behind him, the other red car, Bill Whittington. Well, this is something that you've got to pay special attention to, Derek. These not necessarily slower cars, but cars that you have difficulty passing at some points in the racetrack.
That's right. For passing a driver like Bill Whittington, who only comes occasionally to the kart circuit, drivers like Mario or Rahal wouldn't know how these drivers react. They're not the type of drivers that they race with week in, week out, so they don't know their style. So they're not quite able to anticipate what they would do. So it's got to be just that extra little bit careful.
Of course, passing on any portion of this racetrack is difficult. You've driven it. Where do you pass? Where's the most opportune place?
Really, at the end of the straight that Mario is now on is the only safe place. If you pass the car anywhere else, it's because the car in front has made a mistake. The corner that Mario just went around is the safest place to try and duck inside, where we saw Michael Andretti pass Alan Pitt Jr. earlier on.
Bobby Rahal now moving through corner number 2, now corner number 3, headed for the keyhole. He's on his 73rd lap of this race. Now, if Rahal should pull off the victory here this afternoon, it will tie for the number of winners in one IndyCar season. There were 7 different winners in 1983, 7 in 1985 if Bobby Rahal can win. And that just once again indicates the competitiveness and the number of drivers able to win anytime you throw the green flag.
If he could pick a place to win his first race of this season, it would be Mid-Ohio, because of course Jim Truman, the owner of his car, is also the owner of Mid-Ohio Racetrack. And it's a fantastic setting. They've spent a lot of money bringing it up to the standard it is at the moment. And they run one of the best teams in racing. So Rahal, being the hometown boy from Dublin, Ohio, would be very much the favorite man to take the win home with him today.
Well, I think it bears mentioning the amount of money that Jim Truman has put back into this spot. There is Bruno Giacomelli in car number 20, who's running in 9th spot. When we came here in 1980, you could almost call this a rundown racetrack, but Jim Truman, in the last 5 years, has put a tremendous amount of money back into the racetrack, making improvements not only in the surface itself and in the safety, but also making it a very nice place for the spectator to come and watch an event. He has built a new media center, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place to come in a beautiful portion of the country. Bruno Giacomelli in car number 20. He, of course, is from Monte Carlo in the SCP Oil Treatment Special owned by Pat Patrick Racing. Bruno has competed in only a limited number of races this year. He was 18th at Long Beach, 10th at Portland. He competes only on the road courses. He was 5th at the Meadowlands, 10th at Cleveland, and 22nd in the most recent road race at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Giacomelli right now, as we said, in 9th position, 1 lap down to the leader.
Drove for many years for Alfa Romeo in Formula 1, and in fact almost became a hero by winning the Watkins Glen Grand Prix, U.S. Grand Prix in Watkins Glen. He had a very, very big lead in the Alfa Romeo, and something very silly like a coil wire fell off. So Bruno Giacomelli was almost a Grand Prix winner when he drove for Alfa Romeo.
After this race, the Indy cars go to the ovals for the next 2 events. A week from today, Larry Nuber, Jack Arute, and Gary Lee will be at San Air Speedway, which is east of Montreal, for the race on the little less than a mile tri-oval, the racetrack that Rick Mears was injured at last year. And then after that, it's on to the 2-mile high-banked oval at Michigan International Speedway. Bobby Rahal, the leader at Mid-Ohio, and we will be right back with more of our coverage. Mid-Ohio, another tough break. Michael Andretti, who is running in 5th position, has pulled off the racetrack right beside Dennis Firestone's stalled race car. And you can see the frustration as Michael Andretti pulls off the helmet and climbs the guardrail. What a tough break. He was doing so well. Boy, that's been the case so many times with Michael. There is the leader, Bobby Rahal, and although he is dominating this race in the lead by about 43 seconds, it is far from over. 75 out of 84 laps have been completed, only 9 to go. But boy, you can't count on a victory until the checkered flag drops. Let's go down to his pit area and Gary Lee.
In his pit area with the car owner, and all weekend long you've had them covered, but the race is not over yet. And I know you really don't like to talk about it till it is over.
Well, we're leading, obviously, and Bobby's done a great job, and the car is running very well, but we've lost some races this late after leading all the way. I'm going to try and hold my breath for about 8 laps.
You also have your fingers crossed behind your back.
Pardon me?
You also have your fingers crossed behind your back.
Check my toes.
Well, there is Jim Truman, who has a smile on his face right now, and we'll see if he does in less than 10 laps, if Bobby can come home a winner here this weekend.
That's the thing about racing. He's perfectly right. We saw a situation at Cleveland where Mario had everybody covered, had the race won in his pocket, and then the car goes on fire. So he's instantly throws everything away. All his weekend's work went down the escape road in a plume of smoke. So Jim Truman may well hold his breath right now.
We hope you're enjoying today's second half of our auto racing doubleheader here on ESPN. Earlier today, of course, coverage of the Southern 500 from Darlington, South Carolina. And now this same-day coverage of the IndyCar race at Mid-Ohio. Next weekend, another auto racing doubleheader, as we'll have the Formula One race for you from Monza, Italy. Yours truly and John Bizignano in Italy for that event. And then, of course, after that, the IndyCar race from San Air. There is Mario Andretti, who is in 2nd position, now about 41.5 seconds behind Bobby Rahal, so he's beginning to cut into the advantage a little bit, but it's a rather significant one for Bobby Rahal. And as a matter of fact, our observers around the course have indicated that they may be hearing some popping from the engine of Bobby Rahal. We'll continue to watch that situation. There is Danny Sullivan in car number 4, the Miller American. He is the 3rd car in the order and the only other car on the lead lap besides Andretti and Bobby Rahal. Running in 4th position is Jacques Villeneuve, who has had problems on and off during the day, but still is maintaining a 4th position here. He is shown a lap down, but another good performance by Villeneuve, who was the winner at Elkhart Lake earlier in the year. In the wet conditions, certainly no threat of any rain here this afternoon, as Jacques is holding on to 4th place. In 5th place is Al Unser Jr., and he has also suffered through some rather interesting situations here this afternoon, including a stop-and-go penalty, but he has been able to move up and to maintain this 5th position for the last few laps. He has also shown a lap down to the leaders. And in 6th position is the number 12 car of Bill Whittington, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the Arciero Racing Team entry. He's in 6th position, a lap down. In 7th is Bruno Giacomelli, who you saw a glimpse of just a few minutes ago. There is Bill Whittington, and right behind him is Giacomelli, and they are on the same lap, so this is somewhat of a battle for position, although Bill has the advantage right at the moment. He goes to the inside and passes Kiki Mansilla. Bruno Giacomelli, as we indicated, is in 7th position. There is Bruno right there in the blue and red STP car in 7th position. And in 8th spot is the number 40 of Emerson Fittipaldi, Giacomelli's teammate. And Emerson has not had the best of days here today. There is Emerson. He started this race back in 13th position, qualifying at
109.915 miles an hour and has made advances, but not all that significant. He's moved from 13th to 8th at the moment. In ninth position, in ninth position is the number 98 of Ed Pym, who is also hailing from this area. Ed, of course, a former Super V champion who drives for Dan Gurney. His teammate Tom Sneva has already dropped out of competition, so Ed carrying the Dan Gurney colors in the race at this point. He is in 8th position, ninth position, I should say, and in 10th spot, still being shown as Michael Andretti, although Michael has dropped out of the race, so he will fall from that position. There's the leader, though, Bobby Rahal. And Derek, with about 6 laps to go, this is the point where you begin to hear everything in the world in the cockpit. Every imaginary noise he could possibly hear, he is hearing at the moment, particularly after such unreliable races earlier on in the year. But I think he's going to do it today. They seem to have been on top of their game right from the first day of practice. Right from the first lap they turned, they were head and shoulders above everybody else here. They were something like 2 seconds faster than everybody early in the first session. So I think they've got it covered. It looks to me as if things will stay running Rahal for the rest of the day. Bobby Rahal, 32 years of age, from Dublin, Ohio. The leader here with Andretti second and Sullivan in third. We'll be right back. Back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course and the final laps of this 200-miler with Bobby Rahal, the leader, and Mario Andretti running in second position. There is Bobby Rahal, who is approaching the number 40 car of Emerson Fittipaldi. Now, Fittipaldi is 1 lap down and now goes 2 laps down to the leader. Bobby Rahal was the 1982 CART PPG IndyCar World Series Rookie of the Year. He won his first race in July of 1982 at the Cleveland racetrack, a race that we televised for you on ESPN. As a matter of fact, most, if not all, of Bobby Rahal's wins, I believe, have been on ESPN, so he's hoping for another one here this afternoon. Now, there is the Chevrolet-powered car of Steve Chassis, and Steve has been very consistent here this afternoon. He's in 11th position. Now, this car, of course, is not nearly as fast as the other Cosworths, at least on an oval, but on a road course, it's pretty competitive. Very much so. As Dale Coyne said early in our telecast, that the Stock Bus held the track record here for the last 2 years with Bobby Rahal. Steve Chassis brought this unique car, really. I think it is unique now to IndyCar circles, and is running a very reliable race. Let's hope he is going to finish, because he's making a very fast pit stop with only 6 laps to go. Maybe we just spoke too soon. Well, let's watch it. They are putting fuel in only. They're not changing any of the tires, and if he has any fuel left in his tank, it will allow him to go back out onto the racetrack and perhaps finish the race. Now Steve begins to move away. So Chassis in the number 56 Genesee Beer Wagon Glory Racing car is back out on the racetrack. Have had some bad luck this year, but they have persevered, and I do believe this will be their best result of the year. Steve, of course, one of the drivers who advanced to IndyCar racing through the sprint and midget ranks, and one of the last ones to be successful in IndyCar racing in that respect. Steve Chassis, so far this year, has been in 4 previous IndyCar races. His best finish was an 11th at Pocono on the oval, and he right now is running in 11th position. The average speed at the end of 80 laps, we're on lap number 81 right now, 107.221, and that has not varied hardly by more than a mile an hour all race long. So it's an indication that Rahal is, I would say, doing all he can and getting the most out of that race car under race conditions. Going to easily break the previous track record here at Mid-Ohio. He now has less than 3 laps to go here, and the advantage is 37 seconds. Now, Mario Andretti has been eating into that advantage the last few laps, but still, if Bobby can stay out there and maintain any speed at all, he's going to win this event. Right behind Steve Chassis, whom we talked about just a few minutes ago in the Chevy stock block. He made the pit stop
to see that Steve Chassie will extend to Bobby Rahal in either corner number 3 or corner number 4 of this track, as Chassie knows that Bobby is right behind him, and Steve also knows that Bobby is the leader of this race. You can see how Steve moves to the inside, coming out of corner number 4, the keyhole, and now Bobby is not all. Now he moves to the inside, and Rahal passes him down the backstretch.
I don't think Bobby would have taken a chance at passing anywhere else if there was any possibility at all of seeing it. At the moment, Andretti, running in second place, is gaining about a second a lap on Rahal, but it's not that he's gaining, it's that Bobby is letting him gain. Rahal is just backing off just a little bit to give him a little comfort zone. He is losing a second a lap, but he's only got 2 or 3 laps to go, so he's pretty much home and dry.
White flag may come out this next time around. We'll watch the starter stand and see if the official starter, Nick Bonoro, does display the white flag. Bobby Rahal dominating this race here today. Oh, and Mario Andretti has blown a tire and spun off the course. A situation very similar to Al Unser Sr.'s. And it looks like he may have had some contact with the guardrail, because the right side of that wing, at least in the back end of the car, may be displaying some damage. Now the white flag does come out, and so Bobby Rahal is on his last lap. Tough break for Mario.
Very, very bad luck. Very bad break for Mario. After having such a good, consistent race, here he goes, he blows a tire. Now this is interesting. We've had tire explosions regularly the last couple of races. It may be debris again. Maybe Mario just ran over something, but a very, very bad time for it to happen. Most unfortunate for Mario. It looks as if he in fact stalled the car, because usually he could drive away and drive it back to the pit as soon as possible. But it didn't look as if Mario was able to keep the engine running. He seems to be stalled.
Look at Jacques Villeneuve, who is moved right up on the back bumper of the back wing, I should say, of Bobby Rahal. And I know Jacques knows that he is not in contention for the win, but maybe playing here with Rahal for the last few corners anyway. Bobby Rahal is headed for the checkered flag here. And Villeneuve moves to the inside and passes Bobby, but as you said earlier, Bobby is not going to take any chances in the race with him on the last lap.
No, he moved right over, gave him all the room he wanted. Villeneuve doesn't want to finish another lap down to Rahal.
Out of corner number 14, now corner 15, Bobby Rahal crests the slight peak at the start-finish line, takes the checkered flag, and wins the Escort Radar Warning 200 from Mid-Ohio. Bobby Rahal with his first win of 1985.
It's a long, long time coming for Rahal, but it was deserved. It definitely had to come because they do such a good job. And what a better place to do it in front of a record crowd on a fantastic day here at one of the best road race circuits in America.
So Bobby Rahal's second half of the season beginning to look up for him. At Michigan in the 500-mile race, he was 6th. He was 4th in the Elkhart Lake event 200-miler. He was 4th in the most recent IndyCar race at Pocono, and now advances to the top spot. He wins this race here this afternoon at Mid-Ohio. There is Danny Sullivan, who will go into second place finish as a result of Mario Andretti's spin, blown tire on the very last lap of the race. So Sullivan finishes in second spot, but there were only 2 cars on the lead lap, as Jacques Villeneuve will finish in third position. So another good performance by the Canadian.
We spoke earlier on of anything being able to happen in the last couple of laps of a race to put a driver out. And there's the classic example. Mario is safe, comfortable second place, exactly as he wanted, and then boom, tire deflate.
Jacques takes the checkered flag, and just as he crosses the finish line, he pulls off of the race course into the pit area. Well, there is Bobby Rahal, who's taking a victory lap, and he'll be in victory lane. Gary Lee will talk to him after these messages. Mid-Ohio in the Escort Radar Warning 200 is Bobby Rahal. He started from the pole position and led all but 1 lap. He is in victory lane right now, and so is Gary Lee.
Bobby Rahal, congratulations. I can only call it total domination all weekend long. It's well overdue, and it's nice to win here.
Well, thank you. The Bud March ran beautifully all weekend, and our stops were great. Really, the stops are what gave me the most time. We were we could pick up a half a second lap, and on the one stop, I think I got 20 seconds. So the crew did a great job, and this is for Jim and everybody who suffered for us this year, and we got one under our belt.
The last couple of seasons, it seems like you really pick up momentum during the last half of the year, and always on ESPN.
Well, next year, we're definitely going to have to work on the first half. There's no question, because we got some good points here, but we got to work hard the rest of the year.
Just how hard was it in the race? How hard were you running? We kept talking to your car owner, Jim Truman. He kept smiling and saying he's running as hard as he could.
Well, first, up until the last stop, I was running as hard as I could. You know, not taking unnecessary chances, but when we got a free lap and without traffic, drive as hard as I could. And you know, we were able to pull away from them, and I got caught in traffic a little bit, but then I'd get it the next time around. And really, the last 20 laps or whatever, it went by too slow. You know, I couldn't drive hard because we were so far in the lead, and I wanted to drive hard to keep my concentration up. But as I say, everything just was a dream today.
Once again, congratulations, Bobby Rahal.
Bobby led all but one lap. Lap number 29, that was led by Mario Andretti, but he led laps 1 through 28 and 30 through 84. Our winner interview has been brought to you by... Race summary shows that the time of the race was 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 25 seconds. The average speed, 107.04 miles an hour. 2 leaders, Mario Andretti and Bobby Rahal, and 2 lead changes. Bobby led all but lap number 29. And there are the statistics showing that. Rahal 1 through 28 and 30 through 84. The top 10 finishers. Danny Sullivan was second. Jacques Villeneuve was third. Al Unser Jr. finished fourth, and Bill Whittington was fifth. Finishing in 6th position was Bruno Giacomelli. 7th was Mario Andretti because of his blown tire on the last lap. Emerson Fittipaldi was 8th. Ed Pym was 9th, and Enrique Kiki Mansilla was in 10th place. Now, look at the points battle. Mario Andretti goes back on top with 102 points, but Emerson Fittipaldi and Al Unser Sr. are tied for second with 99. Good race, Derek.
Very good. The best team did take the honors, and Sullivan, with second place, benefited from other people's misfortune for a change.
So the Escort Radar Warning 200 goes to Bobby Rahal. And this race has been brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?